Absolutely. Here's a deep, gripping opening for your speech. Destroy the old you and rebuild yourself alone. Written in the style and intensity of Eric Thomas, with raw conviction to grab the audience and lock them in for the full ride. Listen to me. If you don't hear anything else, I say today, hear this. The version of you that's been coasting, doubting, making excuses, that version has to die, right here, right now. I'm not talking about leveling up. I'm not talking about small change. I'm talking about a total demolition of everything soft, everything scared, everything average about you. You keep asking for elevation, but you refuse to tear down the weak foundation you've been standing on. You want success, but you won't bury the habits, the mindset, the people that keep pulling you back. That old you, the one that hits snooze, skips the gym, procrastinates, talks more than work. That version is in the way, and if you don't destroy it, you will be destroyed by it. Yeah, I said it. You can't carry your potential and your past at the same time. One's gotta go. And if you're not ready to kill the old you, then don't expect the new you to ever show up. But if you're sick of being sick, tired of starting over, fed up with watching everybody else win while you stay stuck, then lean in, lock in, because this ain't motivation. This is a full, blown blueprint for rebirth. You're about to hear the truth that most people will never tell you. No sugar, no filters, just what it takes to completely reinvent yourself on your own, because the real you, the unstoppable, locked-in, disciplined, driven you, that version is waiting to be built. But first we burn everything down. Let's go. Absolutely. Here's a deep, gripping opening for your speech. Destroy the old you and rebuild yourself alone. Written in the style and intensity of Eric Thomas, with raw conviction to grab the audience and lock them in for the full ride. Listen to me. If you don't hear anything else, I say today, hear this. The version of you that's been coasting, doubting, making excuses, that version has to die, right here, right now. I'm not talking about leveling up. I'm not talking about small change. I'm talking about a total demolition of everything soft, everything scared, everything average about you. You keep asking for elevation, but you refuse to tear down the weak foundation you've been standing on. You want success, but you won't bury the habits, the mindset, the people that keep pulling you back. That old you, the one that hits snooze, skips the gym, procrastinates, talks more than work. That version is in the way, and if you don't destroy it, you will be destroyed by it. Yeah, I said it. You can't carry your potential and your past at the same time. One's gotta go. And if you're not ready to kill the old you, then don't expect the new you to ever show up. But if you're sick of being sick, tired of starting over, fed up with watching everybody else win while you stay stuck, then lean in, lock in, because this ain't motivation. This is a full, blown blueprint for rebirth. You're about to hear the truth that most people will never tell you. No sugar, no filters, just what it takes to completely reinvent yourself on your own. Because the real you, the unstoppable, locked-in, disciplined, driven you, that version is waiting to be built. But first we burn everything down. Let's go. Let me tell you something. You can't fix what you're not willing to face. That's the part most people skip. They want to change, but they don't want to look in the mirror and admit the truth. And that mirror, it's not just glass. It's a reflection of your discipline, your consistency, your choices. You want to build something new, but you still romanticizing the old you like it was working. Nah, it wasn't working. It was barely keeping you above water. You were coasting. You were surviving. You weren't locked in, and deep down you know it. I'm not talking to the crowd, pleaser version of you. I'm not talking to the one with a fake smile, convincing everybody that everything's fine. I'm talking to the you that lies awake at night, questioning why you keep falling into the same cycles. Why you're still in the same spot mentally, spiritually, financially. That you, that's the one I want to wake up. You gotta understand transformation doesn't start with motivation. It starts with confrontation. You want to destroy the old you, then you better be real enough to admit who that old you actually was. Stop pretending like you were doing your best. You weren't. You were doing just enough to look busy, just enough to get by, just enough to avoid judgment, but not enough to grow, not enough to evolve, not enough to live up to your potential, and you know that. That's why it hurts. That's why there's guilt. That's why there's shame, because you were built for more, but you settled for less. You've got to call it out. Laziness, call it out. Fear, call it out. Procrastination, call it out. Comfort addiction. Call it out, all of it. You can't heal what you keep hiding behind a smile. You can't elevate when you're still emotionally married to who you used to be. The old you is dragging you. That version got too many receipts, too many habits, too many toxic thoughts. You gotta evict it today, and I get it. Facing yourself is hard, it's brutal, it's lonely, but it's also necessary. That's the price of growth. See, most people want results, but they don't want the reality that comes before them. You want the muscles, but you don't want to go through the pain of breaking them down first. You want the confidence, but you don't want to strip away the insecurity and confront the trauma that shaped it. You want the crown without carrying the cross, but it doesn't work like that. You can't become a new version of yourself until you're willing to let the old version die completely. And I'm not talking about gradual change. I'm not talking about improvement. I'm talking about demolition, full destruction. You gotta break the old blueprint. You gotta break the old identity. You gotta break the old belief system, because everything you built up to this point, it was designed for survival. But now it's time to build for purpose. Now it's time to build for dominance. Now it's time to build a life that demands greatness. You want a new mindset, then stop babysitting your old one. You want new results. Then stop repeating the same habits hoping something magical will shift. That's insanity. Nothing changes until you do, and change doesn't begin with hype. It begins with honesty, brutal, ruthless honesty. So today, you gotta get in that mental mirror and look hard. Ask yourself, who am I really? What do I actually value? Am I showing up for myself, or am I just showing off for others? Am I consistent when no one's watching, or am I still depending on praise to stay motivated? Because if the old you was built on ego, excuses, and external validation, then the new you has to be built on humility, discipline, and self-respect. Don't be afraid to break down. Don't be afraid to fall apart. Because in that breaking, there's power. In that tearing down, there's clarity. That's where the rebuilding begins. The real you, the powerful, relentless, focused version of you. It's waiting on the other side of your honesty. Burn the costume, rip off the mask, stop running, face the mirror, and destroy everything that no longer serves you. You want to rebuild yourself. You really ready for that? Because rebuilding doesn't happen out in the open where everybody can clap for you. It happens when you disappear, when you go ghost, when you separate yourself from the noise, the people, the habits, and the patterns that kept you average. See, everybody talks about grinding, but very few people talk about isolation. And that's the part they skip. The silence, the stillness, the solitude. But let me tell you something. The greatest transformations don't happen on stages. They happen in the dark. You don't rebuild yourself around people who knew the old version of you. Because as long as you keep them around, they're going to keep reminding you who you used to be. You're trying to level up, and they're still pulling you back into conversations, into routines, into a mind that you've already outgrown. That's why you feel stuck. You're trying to be new in an environment that only knows the old you, so you have to step away, not because you don't love them, but because you love your purpose more. when you're in the process of rebuilding, you're going to feel alone. And that's exactly how it's supposed to feel. Don't fight it. Don't run from it. That loneliness, that isolation, that silence, that's where the new you is born. That's where your discipline grows. That's where your clarity sharpens. That's where your standards get higher. When you're away from the crowd, away from the opinions, away from the noise, now you've got room to actually hear yourself. And for the first time, you'll realize just how much you've been distracting yourself with people, places, and patterns that never had your back. This ain't about cutting people off just to be cold. It's about choosing your future over your comfort. It's about understanding that some environments feed your ego, but starve your growth. So yes, you might have to disappear for a season. You might have to be misunderstood. People might call you distant. They might call you selfish. Let them, because while they're talking, you're transforming. While they're gossiping, you're grinding. While they're wasting time, you're building something in silence that they won't recognize when you come back. Don't expect applause in the shadows. Don't expect validation when you're in the cocoon. This isn't the part where people celebrate you. This is the part where you suffer in silence, where you wake up before the sun, where you do the reps nobody sees, where you master the habits that'll make you unrecognizable 6 months from now. This is where you build the foundation that can't be shaken. Because when you come out of that season, you won't need to announce it. They'll feel it. But listen, it's not just about being alone physically. You've got to be alone mentally too. That means protecting your energy. That means filtering your thoughts. That means saying no to temporary pleasures so you can say yes to permanent change. It means getting real quiet with yourself and asking, what am I actually building here? Because you can't rebuild with distractions in your hands and doubt in your heart. You gotta get laser focused. You gotta get locked in, and you can't do that when you're trying to keep up with the crowd. This is the grind nobody posts about. This is the part where you train your mind, discipline your body, and reset your spirit. And you do it without the cheers. You do it without the audience. You do it without needing someone to tell you you're on the right path, because you already know. The vision is in your heart. The hunger is in your soul. That's enough. So if you're in that season where it feels like nobody gets you, like nobody's checking in, like you're walking this road all by yourself, good. That's where the real ones are forged. That's where warriors are built. That's where legends are born. Stay there. Stay hidden. Stay focused. Because when it's time to rise, they won't recognize you. You didn't destroy the old you just to become a slightly better version of it. You didn't walk through the fire, suffer in silence, grind in isolation just to come back as somebody a little more polished. You didn't go through that pain to stay average. No, you did it to create a new standard, one that makes your old life look like a joke. You rebuild yourself to become the kind of person the old you wasn't even qualified to dream of. That's the goal, that's the mindset, that's the energy. See, once you tear it all down, now it's time to build something that lasts. And you can't build a skyscraper on a weak foundation. You can't build a legacy on soft habits. You can't build a future on temporary motivation. You need structure. You need routine. You need rules. And those rules, they come from within. They're not about what feels good. They're about what gets you results. And when you're building at this level, your life has to match your vision. You've got to create a standard so high that even your best day before doesn't make the cut anymore. The old you used to be satisfied with doing just enough. The new you, nah. The new you doesn't hit the minimum. The new you is about domination, excellence, precision, and you do it not because someone's watching, but because it's who you are now. This isn't about image, this is about identity. Every action, every thought, every choice, it's gotta align with the person you said you want to become. That's the standard now. You can't say you want to be elite and keep living with average habits. You can't say you want freedom but keep making slave decisions. You can't say you want peace and keep entertaining chaos. Everything has to line up. No more contradictions. No more back and forth. You're either locked in or you're not. Let me be real with you. It's going to be uncomfortable. Creating a new standard means leaving behind comfort. You'll have to say no more than you say yes. You'll have to do things you don't feel like doing. You'll have to keep going when nobody's clapping. But that's how a real standard is built. Not on hype, but on consistency, discipline, integrity, and let me tell you this. Your standard becomes your shield. When life throws pressure at you, when adversity comes, when the emotions get heavy, you fall back on your standard because you've trained yourself to operate at a level higher than your feelings. Most people fold under pressure because their habits are built on how they feel. But you're different now. You've set a new level. You've got expectations. You don't wake up and hope to win. You wake up and execute because it's who you are now. This is what separates the talkers from the doers. This is what separates the motivated from the consistent. This is what separates the average from the elite. And it's not talent. It's not luck. It's the standard. It's waking up and refusing to let yourself operate beneath your purpose. It's being obsessed with growth. It's being loyal to your vision even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one's watching. You've got to get to the point where mediocrity feels disrespectful, where skipping a rep, missing a deadline, slacking on your routine doesn't just bother you. It offends you because that's not who you are anymore. That's not how you live anymore. You've built something real now. And when it's real, you don't need external motivation to keep going. Your standard sustains you. Your standard fuels you. Your standard leads you. And guess what? Once you raise your standard, you automatically raise your circle. You stop allowing weak conversations, lazy habits, and low energy around you. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you've made a decision to never lower your level again just to fit in. That version of you is gone. You're not lowering your standard. You're becoming the standard. So build your life in a way that demands more. Raise your expectations. Upgrade your effort. Stop settling. Stop shrinking. You didn't come this far to be comfortable. You came to be legendary. If you're serious about this, if you really destroyed the old you and rebuilt yourself from the ground up, then there's one more thing you have to do. You got to burn the bridge back. Burn it all the way down. No safety nets. No backup plans. No return policy. You didn't go through all that pain, all that isolation, all that discipline just to keep a back door open to the old life. That old version of you, that chapter's closed, that door's locked, that bridge is gone. Because if you leave a way back, there will come a day where your emotions get loud, life gets heavy, and you'll be tempted to retreat. You'll be tempted to fold. You'll tell yourself, maybe I was better off back then. And if the bridge is still there, guess what? You'll cross it. That's why it has to be destroyed. Because rebuilding yourself ain't just about the rise. It's about never falling back into the hole you climbed out of. You can't flirt with your old life and expect to stay loyal to your new one. You can't dance with comfort and still claim you're chasing greatness. It doesn't work like that. You gotta go all in, and that means letting go completely. No more reaching back. No more entertaining thoughts of who you used to be. No more sneaking in old habits on weekends. If you said you changed, then mean it. You can't keep one foot in the past and expect to move forward. That's why some of y'all feel stuck. You're trying to walk forward while still dragging your old mindset, your old crew, your old identity behind you. But real change, real transformation, it demands sacrifice. It demands that you give up who you were, even if it's all you've ever known, and that's hard. I know it is, but nothing grows in comfort. Nothing evolves when it's safe. If you want to become something you've never been, you've got to be willing to lose who you were. And don't expect everyone to understand that. Don't expect applause when you cut ties with your past. Some people are going to look at your growth like it's betrayal. Some people are going to say you changed. And they're right. You did. That was the point. You didn't come this far to stay the same. You didn't put in the work to blend in. You came to break patterns. You came to end generational cycles. You came to stand up and say, I refuse to go back. Because once you've tasted discipline, once you've lived with clarity, once you've felt the strength that comes from doing the hard things every single day, you realize something: going back is death. Maybe not physical death, but spiritual death, mental death, purpose death. That's what the old you was. Slow death. You were drowning in comfort, stuck in patterns, numbing your potential, but now you're alive. You're awake. You're operating with vision and structure and purpose. And going back to the old life, that would be betrayal. So don't keep the door cracked. Don't keep the keys. Don't keep the old number in your phone, the old mindset in your pocket, the old habits on standby. Cut it all off, burn it down, make it impossible to return. Because when you have no option but forward, you move different. You show up different. You fight harder, you focus deeper, you become unstoppable, not because you never struggle, but because retreat is no longer on the table. You didn't rebuild yourself to repeat cycles. You didn't isolate, grind, and suffer in silence to return to average. You did it to rise above, to elevate, to rewrite the story. So now, hold the line. Keep the standard, stay locked in, and never ever go back. Because the old you is gone, and the new you, the real you, deserves to stay.